Hey y'all, welcome back to another special edition of the Buddy Ruski Show. Today I have Mary Hondermann of Futuro with me to talk about their wonderful organization and the incredible work that they do for the Latino community here in North Carolina. They provide comprehensive mental health services for thousands of folks throughout that community. So I'm really excited for you all to hear that conversation. This is dropping 2 days before the El Futuro fundraiser dance party that I'm co-hosting with the folks over at Ruby's at Five Points to help celebrate their 1 year anniversary in their downtown Durham location. Really excited about that event and this conversation as well that you're about to hear. It really inspires me to know that there are Durham businesses throughout the city that believe in this kind of work and want to collaborate to benefit their community. So enjoy this conversation. Hope to see folks out on Thursday. And without further ado, here's Mary Hondermann. Let's jump right into it. Thank you again
Yeah,
um, for
sure.
chatting with me today about El Futuro.
Mm-hmm.
For folks that'll be listening to this, uh, I've partnered with the folks over at Ruby's. Their 1 year anniversary is coming up, and part of that celebration is going to be a dance party fundraiser at Ruby's this Thursday to help benefit the wonderful organization El Futuro. So I have Mary Honderman with me today to talk a little bit about that organization and some of the great work that they do for folks who aren't familiar. So, Mary, if you would just give folks a brief overview of El Futuro and um, some of the work that you all do.
Sure. Thank you, Justin, for the invite. I'm so excited for this celebration. I probably go. I'm not sure yet, depending on some family stuff, but I'm excited to just go and see people and be part of this celebration. Yeah, El Futuro is a nonprofit clinic that provides a comprehensive mental health services to Latino families. And we do it in a bilingual environment. And we say in an environment of healing and hope. That means that we build trust, we create this space where people can go and feel comfortable to share because it's not easy, and we understand that. We try to um, make them feel at home and at the same time understand their culture and where they're from. um, our mission is we say that we nurture familias to be stronger and be able to live out their dreams. So they come here in the first place looking for a good opportunities, looking for new opportunities to grow their families, their profession, or new opportunities because their home country, they have problems or something, so they decided to move, and they face different problems. They face a culture problem with new languages, and when the kids go to school, they feel confused. They cannot communicate well with their teacher or with other friends, and that is a part of the process. And they face maybe depression or stress or anxiety, and they don't know how to handle those situations. So we see all these problems or difficulties in our community. So that's why we think we try to be culturally responsive with all those situations and make them feel like at home when they look for help.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And there's so many things, as you mentioned, whether it's at school, at work, in their everyday lives that folks who where English may not be their first language, particularly in Latino community, um, that extra barrier can be
Uh-huh.
a huge thing to overcome. Um, El Futuro has been around for quite some time.
Yep.
For almost 2 decades and
Uh-huh.
has evolved to accommodate many different services, but also the Latino community here in North Carolina has grown tremendously in the past 2 decades as well. And so could you talk a little bit about maybe how the organization has grown to keep up with the demand or the need, given that so many more folks in the Latino community are moving to this area?
Yeah, as you say, the Latino community has been growing a lot. Um, after, I mean, since the pandemic has started, we have seen increased services by a lot. Like every year, increase, like at least 7%. Last year, now that I'm working around the numbers and all these reports from the whole year, last year we had around a 1,400 patients, something around that. And no, the 2021. For 2022, we had around 1,900. So that correspond maybe an 11% increase of services. So you can see how big is these uh, people looking for services in our clinic. We also has increase in sessions treatments, and now after the pandemic, we keep working virtual with some patients, and we also open our clinics already to in-person services. So yeah, the population is growing a lot, but it and the demanding of service is growing as well. Um, Let me see. Yeah. And you say something about the services we provide, and the main services that we provide. I mean, the people who look at us for services is number one is depression. A lot of people come to us because they feel depressed. The second most popular is trauma and stress disorders. And the third is substance use disorders. That's the main three. Of course, we have anxiety, we have um, family disagreements, communications with other people, friends or teachers in the school with for kids, psychiatry treatment, bipolar or this kind of disorder. Um so we have also HDSD and these kind of things for young and kids. Um,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's quite a few. I mean, that's a lot of things that you all are taking on, and as you mentioned with COVID-19 pandemic, those things became even more important. A lot of folks across the country were dealing with things like depression and anxiety, and a lot of services that people would normally have access to potentially. Um, those things may have been cut off from them during the pandemic because of
Uh-huh,
lockdown or because um, you're not in regular spaces where those services might be available, especially
uh-huh,
for students. If students aren't in school, maybe they're
uh-huh,
not getting um, meals every day from school like they're used to, or they're
uh-huh,
not used to getting other services in that way. So yeah, I'm curious. Maybe you could speak a little bit more to some of the ways that you all were able to navigate the pandemic and be able to continue to provide services even while some of those challenges were going on with lockdown.
Yeah, when the pandemic started in 2020, we didn't have a video call appointments that didn't, it wasn't considered. It was all in person, but we had to close our two clinics. And when we closed and and that those things happened, we decided to try the video call appointments, and we could actually attend a lot of people and get services to a lot of people in therapy, and that was a surprise for us, and the demand of services grew. So we had a very long waiting list during that time because it was hard for us just to do video calls, but not in person appointments. So we had a waiting list for some patients. And now I can say that the waiting list is a lot shorter, by a lot. And we keep doing video calls. We call it a telefuturo. So now some patients feel more comfortable doing video calls because maybe they don't have anyone who can take care of their kids at home while they're going to therapy. So those patients, we try to do teletherapy, and that's working excellent. Other patients just like in-person appointments, so they go to the clinic and receive the services they need. But yeah, we had a lot of stress and anxiety during COVID. A lot of people reach out to us for solutions and help during the pandemic. I mean, the first year of the pandemic, because they feel like, what is going to happen? That uncertainty, what is going to happen? How can I feed my kids? I cannot go to work. What is going to happen with my work? All those situations brought some stress and anxiety for the future, and we help them to, get down and get feel better and see another perspective, and through therapy and psychiatry, or people who cannot sleep during the night, for example. So the psychiatry recommends some medication for that, depending of the patient. Not everybody has medication, but some of them require medication to live better and could sleep at night and all that stuff. But yeah, our demand of stress and anxiety patients increased a lot during a pandemic, and the video call is still running.
That's great. Yeah, I imagine a lot of folks had not experienced using video calls before the
Uh-huh.
pandemic and had to make that adjustment. And it's great to hear that you all were able to make that work and continue providing services for folks who, as you said, had other barriers like transportation that may not allow them to
Uh-huh.
come to an in-person clinic. Um, who are some of the partners that you all work with, either for outreach or just, I imagine that, doing the amount of work that you all do at El Futuro is a lot to keep up with. And so who are some of the partners, whether it's, schools, local schools, or other organizations that help you all in your efforts to bring these services to folks?
We have a list of sponsors and partners who help us financially, mostly, to provide more services to the community. And some of those are UNC Health, Duke, Caring Hands Foundation or RTI. We have new ones this year, like Old My Farm, Weaver Street Market. We had Real Estate Associates, for example. They are supportive, and others like the Summer Church and the UNC School of Nursing. They provide a lot of help for us to keep going with our services and keep providing more services to more Latino families. And we are so grateful to have them. We are so grateful to have their help every year. And we try to bring more people and raise awareness uh, for other organizations and especially the community about mental health. So they realize this problem is real, and even for the community, when the Latinos, we we don't think mental health is a big issue, and that is part of our culture, I think, because we think, oh, I can deal with this. This is not anxiety. This is just I'm a little stressed, and sometimes we hit situations like, oh, I cannot sleep. I'm worrying too much, or I'm being obsessive with something, and that can grow and explode in some moment. So raise awareness and keep doing our job and keep working with this organization. Help us to send that message of what you're feeling is not okay, you need help. Or some other organization doesn't know what we do, so they're like, oh, that is great, I want to be part of it. And we are so grateful to welcome those new organizations and work together for our community.
Yeah, that's great that you all have so many different types of sponsors too, and organizations that you partner with, whether it's health organizations, or financial sponsors that can help support the work that you all are
Yeah.
doing. I'm curious because again, it is a lot of work, that you all do within your organization. Um, but I think ideally, some of these services that you all provide would become, part of the systems that already exist, so that, for instance, in schools, that schools would be, better prepared to,
Uh-huh,
facilitate, bilingual learning or bilingual, counseling services for students.
uh-huh, uh-huh,
Um, even when teachers send information home, to be able to have
uh-huh,
that
uh-huh,
information be in both English and Spanish.
uh-huh.
And so, um, are there ways that you all are, able to provide services, for folks so that, or build partnerships with organizations, so that some of the work that you are doing can just become part of, uh, everyday life, and, El Futuro doesn't have to sort of carry all of those
Yes.
services.
Yes, we have two programs. We have one program it calls La Mesita. La Mesita is a network of more than 1,300 healthcare providers in North Carolina. So we train those providers to provide services, mental health services to their communities. So it's a way to extend our services uh, farther than our walls here in Durham. And this network has been growing every year. Last year we have a little more than 1,000 providers. So this year it was growing. 300 more, a little more, like something like that. But yeah, the La Mesita is a way for us to expand the message, to train more providers around mental health so they can reply and extend these services to their clients. And of course, reach more areas, more counties, and you know, be farther. And another program that we have is called Alma, and this program is about training organization. It's like more local, training those organizations and schools, work with the schools and the psychologists in the school, for example. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So Alma is more focused in a special and smaller organizations like the school, like the local clinic, like the other partners that work with mental health. Um, so these trainers go to different part of the city and different organizations to train about mental health.
That's great. Yeah, I think that so much of the work that you all do and other nonprofits um, is not just about providing service, but ultimately providing that educational, um,
Mhm.
doing the educational work so that our systems are better equipped to um, service everyone in our community and
Yes.
not leave anyone behind. So it's great to hear that those training programs are um, that you are working in so many different areas and able to yeah, help develop those systems in a more equitable way. So
Yeah.
I just have a couple more questions for you, and I'll let you get out of here. One, if you wouldn't mind sharing um, a a success or something that you all have done, within the last couple of years, let's say, that you feel particularly proud of, or just something that you want to highlight that you think is a real, um, important or cool thing that's come from the work that you all have done.
Like a client story or
Yeah,
like experience. Well, we have tons. We
that's
have
great to hear.
tons. Let's see. We had um, we have a couple that they're not client anymore, but they were a client. Um, and the wife was dealing, I think, with a stress, and she feels like she couldn't communicate with her husband because he was mad all the time, and that brought some stress and anxiety to her, and she couldn't handle it. So she started to go to the clinic without him knowing. And she got better, understand a lot this behavior, and for some reason I don't remember details, and I cannot say details,
Yeah,
but this woman was in the entrance of the clinic, and the husband picked her up. Um, so that's how he found out that she was doing treatment and stuff, and they start sharing, and she was like, I think he saw she getting better, and she was encouraging him to go to the clinic. Until he did, he started to go to the clinic, and it was a beautiful change in that home. The relationship changed, how they talk each other changed. The anxiety problem got a lot better. And I think he had some problems with substance use, and he got a counseling and therapy for this issue, and he got a lot better. And all the environment at home, you know, transformed to a completely different path. So we were so happy to hear that story and how we started with her, but at the end of the day, he needed services too, but he didn't know. He thought it was fine. Um, and everyone at home changed. So we just so happy to serve this family.
Yeah, that's great. And it sounds like you all have created a very family-friendly environment at El Futuro as well. But to your point earlier, I think a lot of us who are going through different mental health issues potentially uh, try to find other ways to deal with it, or think, oh, I'll just push it to the side. It's not that big a deal.
Mhm,
Um, but then it takes just that one time in the clinic or sort of that one time speaking to someone to kind of open you up a little bit
mhm,
and start to try to, yeah, make changes in your own life. And those can also, help other people in your life, once you're able to feel better and feel healthier, that
mhm.
can start to, um, you know, yeah, improve your environment, not just yourself, but it can help make everyone around you better as well.
Yes.
So thank you for
Mhm.
sharing that. I obviously, yeah, want to keep people's confidentiality and all that,
Yeah.
but yeah, thank you for giving that example because I think that is a great one to hear. Um,
And
uh,
yeah, we are so happy to see all those changes in our community. I mean,
my
we have a ton of stories, but yeah, it's just an
Well, I guess
example.
my last question then is, I want to leave it up to you to share anything more that you would like about El Futuro and maybe where folks can learn more or read more about some of these client stories or just hear more about the work you all are doing on a regular
Mhm,
basis.
mhm. Well, my first call will be um, don't wait any longer if you don't feel happy with with your life, if you don't feel comfortable at school, or if you see your kids not progress at school, or having problems making friends, or talking with communicating with their teachers, or if you don't if you cannot sleep at night well because you're too worried, or because you have a lot of stress and depression, don't wait on those things don't go away just overnight. Um, we are happy to help, and people can reach us in two different ways. We have a website, and people can go and read what we do and how we do it and connect with us. And they can go to elfuturo-nc.org, or most of the people are more comfortable calling for making an appointment, and they can do it to the 919-688-7101. And we are happy to help the community. Yeah.
That's great. Yeah, thank you for sharing that, and I'll make sure that that information gets on the website too. So if people forget, they can find it there.
Uh-huh.
But thank you again, Mary, for sharing more about El Futuro with me and with the folks that'll be listening to this. I'm really looking forward to um, sharing in the celebration on Thursday for the fundraiser, but then also continuing to um, try to promote and get more folks involved with the great work that you all do, because I do think it's super important, the services that you provide. So yeah, thank you again for taking the time to chat with me.
No, thank you for the opportunity to expand our message and to raise more awareness for this amazing fundraising and support our work. So I hope many people hear this and join the party, not just because the party, but because of more Latino families needed for services. So I'm so excited. I hope I can go and join and be grateful and know all the folks in there. I'm so excited for this. Thank you so much. Anything you need, please reach out to me and I can help.
I will do that. Thank you again, Marion, and have a great rest of your week and holiday as well.
Thank you. You too.
All right.
Bye.